Alright, welcome back. Let's continue with our port scanner. What we did by now, as you can see from the previous video, we only discovered that the port 80 is open on the website that we scanned. So what we need to do now is we need to wrap this code inside of a function. And let me show you why we are doing that. If I simply define a function which will be called scan_port, and for those of you who don't know, to define a function, you simply just type def and then the function name. This function will take two parameters, which will be the IP address, which we defined at the beginning of the program, and it will also be the port. Okay, we specify two dots, and now we need to tab all of this code in so it can belong to the function that we created. Okay, so here it is. What this function will do is it will scan the port and it will define whether it is open or closed. Now, another thing that we want to do is we don't really want the port to be already predetermined. For example, let's say that the user of this program wants to scan port 22, which is the SSH port. Well, we want to allow them to actually do that. So we need to remove this port equals 80. And also from these comments right here, we want to type port, and then we're going to type it like this, plus string from the port. And the reason why we are using the string function onto this port variable is because the port variable will hold an integer value. Therefore, once we actually try to print it, we will get an error if we try to print an integer value. So we need to convert it first to string using this str function, and then we can print this. So for example, if the port is number 23, this will print port 23 is open. We also need to do the same right here. String from port. Okay, so port 23 is closed. And now let's test our function, but let's add a little bit of a twist to it. So what we want to do is we want to scan first 10 ports on our website. Alright, so how can we do that? Well, we don't have a port specified at all, so we need to iterate over numbers 1 through 10 and then specify for each number that the port is equal that exact number. Let me show you what I mean. So right here, if I go all the way down and below the function, I specify for port in range 1 through 10, I want to perform a function scan underscore port on the IP address with the port number. So what this will do is it will go for port in range from 1 to 10. So first of all, port would be number 1. We want to scan the IP address with the port equal to 1. Then it will perform this task right here. Then it will go back, change the port variable to be equal to 2, and then it will perform the same task just with the port number equal to 2. Also what we want to do is we want to copy this. Copy, then we can delete it. And we can paste it below the function right here. Okay, now let's see whether this works. So once again, for this, feel free to scan any website you want. I will simply just go with the same website that we used in the previous video. And once again, in order to discover the IP address of the link, we simply just type nslookup and then the link to the actual website. Copy the IP address, copy, and then let's run the program. Enter target to scan, we select the IP address, here it is. And now it is scanning first 10 ports. Now, right away you can notice that it's not really printing anything, it is actually going rather slow, and it is still not even finished with the first port. Now we don't really want this, we want our port scanner to work faster, so how can we fix this? Well, first of all, Control-C onto the program, right here, and then inside of our scan port function we need to add another line, which will be sock.set timeout, and we want to set the timeout to be equal to 0.5 seconds. Now, keep in mind also that the accuracy of the scan will depend on the length of the timeout. So some ports will take longer to connect to, and some ports will take less to connect to. If you simply just leave it without timeout, the accuracy will be the highest. The lower the timeout, the smaller the accuracy. But this is a price that we want to pay in order to actually scan the target faster. So let's see whether this worked. So Python 3 port scanner. We paste the IP address and we can see port 1 is closed and all of the 10 ports are closed on our website. So we scan ports 1 through 10. Okay, now this is probably correct for the website that I'm scanning, but how can we check that? Well, in the previous video I scanned the exact same website and I scanned the port 80. So how can I check whether this is working correctly? Well, instead of the range 1 through 10, I will simply just type 75 through 85. And most likely all of the ports will be closed except the port 80. So let's see how this works. Python 3 port scanner, paste the IP address, all the ports are closed and we have one port open and that is port 80. Okay, so our program seems to work really well. Okay, so we discovered that we need to set the timeout in order to actually scan ports faster. We lose the accuracy, but we gain on time. In the next video, we're going to take a look at how we can convert the link to an actual IP address. For example, we're going to take a look at how we can convert a link of a website to an IP address inside of our program. So whether the user of this program specifies a link or an IP address, this will still work. Okay, so I hope I see you in the next video and take care. Bye.